Hello and welcome, my name is Chris from christopherhole.com. Welcome to this video where we're going to be talking about dietary stress and how it impacts on your health. Now, in the first video, you would have heard me talk about what stress is in a very general sense. It's pressure and tension on a material object. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in regard to the foods that we eat and possibly how we can do it better and improve one's health. Now, you've probably seen me and heard me talk about this little diagram before. This is my little visual representation of health. You've got health in the middle, and then you've got its three influencing factors of thinking, moving and eating around the outside. If we can get all three of these into moderate balance, then we can experience greater health. If we have these in extreme balance, we will experience greater risks of ill health, if you will. Now, obviously today we're talking about dietary stress, and we're going to be looking at one part of diet, and that's whole foods versus processed foods. And before we get into the main bulk of the video, just quickly introduce my social media channels. So you've got my social channels, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at the top, so you can see my names on those. Just go to the search bar on the relevant website, and you can find me on there. Just follow and like. It'd be great to see you and answer any questions that you may have regarding healthy eating or health in general. Or alternatively, you can come to the website, which is christopherhole.com/join, and you can sign up to the monthly newsletter, which is all themed. I cover as many aspects of health and fitness as I can in these three areas of thinking, moving and eating. So if there's information that you want to know, pop me a message and I'll put some videos and possibly a newsletter together about it. Or it'd just be great to have any feedback on that, and it'd be great to answer any questions that you do have. So that's christopherhole.com/join for the monthly newsletter. So back to today's topic, which is dietary stress and how it impacts on our health. So as I mentioned before, stress is pressure and tension on a material object. Now obviously with food, we're talking about the digestive system. So that's all the way from the mouth down through stomach, small intestine, large intestine, so on and so forth. So what we want to try and do for greater health with regards to the food that we eat is keep the stress to a minimum on those organs. And we can get that via whole foods versus processed foods. Now the numbers that I'm using here, 80 and 20, those aren't representative. That is there just as a means of understanding the principle and the example that I'm talking about. So when we're talking about whole foods, those are processed by the body more effectively. They have less stress to the body. They have more nutrient content, and the body is able to utilize more of the food, if you will. When we talk about processed foods, they create greater stress on the body because they don't have as many nutrients that the body wants to use. So it has to pass that food through, and because of the nature of the food, which is generally low nutrient, low fiber, high, let's just say, chemical ingredients, possibly high sugar as well, and various other nutrients, they create greater stress through the digestive system. So not only do we not take the food in, but they create greater stress to the digestive system in having to pass it through. And we know that via constipation that people may have if they have a high processed food diet. So what we're looking to do is to minimize that stress on the digestive system, is that we eat more whole foods. That allows that system to work more effectively, minimize the stress on it, so our body can do what it's meant to do, which is help us live our life. So energy levels will be greater because the body's not sort of distributing its function towards processing food and therefore using its energy to do that. It's there to help us walk about life, to complete the work we want to complete, so on and so forth. So it's these whole foods that allow us to do that, and the processed foods which create these extremes. So we know that when we eat high sugar food, we get a high blood sugar spike, which then turns into a low blood sugar trough, if you will. But if we're eating these whole foods, which are a lot more moderate in the way that the nutrients are distributed, we don't get the big sugar spikes and we don't get the big sugar troughs. It stays in a much more moderate balance. And that's what I mean by moderate balance. It's the, if you will, the seesaw. It's moving slightly up and down. It's never going to be static. That's not what health is. But it's not moving in extremes. It's not moving from top to bottom. It's just gently just sort of ebbing and flowing from side to side. And what this means with regards to the percentages that I've used is the fact that we need to eat high amounts of whole foods against low amounts of processed foods to be in balance. It's not a 50-50 split. So with regards to percentages, if we were to balance it, it would be 50-50 split. But with regards to amounts of whole foods and processed foods, it needs to be looking more 80-20, 90-10, 95 and 5, or 85 and 15, or something in that realm. There needs to be a much bigger onus on whole foods to keep the stress down, or the dietary stress on the body. And what that does is that balance of whole foods and processed foods reduces risk of illness, because our body has less toxicity to remove. Is just one thing. It has the stress on the pancreas when lots of sugar goes in, that creates that extreme balance in our blood sugars. It doesn't have that with the balance of the whole foods. And I guess like a practical example of this is if we were to eat a whole food diet that was 100% whole foods for 29 days out of each month, and then for the 30th or 31st, depending on how many days are in that month, we ate processed foods. Those 1 or 2 days, the body will be better equipped to deal with that, because it's had high amounts of whole foods, we're drinking plenty of water, so on and so forth. It can process those small amounts of processed foods that we eat over that month. And therefore, that's going to keep a more moderate balance. Now, again, you can pick holes in that example. I know, that's fine. But it's just there to get that point across that what we need to be doing is using the food to create less stress on the digestive system, on the excretory system, on the jaw, on the muscles of the jaw as well, because again, that's all going to create a stress. So hopefully that's made a little bit more sense with regards to dietary stress and how it can impact on our health. So anything that creates an extreme balance is going to have a bigger impact on ill health and less of an impact on health. Anything that creates moderate balance in the body, i.e. less stress to the body, then that's going to have better health benefits and fitness benefits in the long run. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from ChristopherHall.com. I will speak to you in a future video.